At the game finally. I was hoping they would do it last year because last year was the 20-year anniversary of Crash Bandicoot. Rayman 3 Hoodlum Havoc entered our lives with its amazing graphics, colourful characters, and above average story. So, what's wrong with it? In my defense, nothing really. But I'm here today to review the game. G'day all you game lovers and enthusiasts out there, my name is Mortal Phoenix, Fable Gaming today to discuss Rayman 3 Hoodlum Havoc. So if you don't know what Rayman 3 is the third installment of the Rayman franchise, in which our character, Rayman, who has no arms or legs, by the way, is set out to kind of stop a hoodlum invasion, quote unquote. So, in regards to the game itself, the gameplay isn't actually that bad. There's a few little bits and pieces which are hard to come by, a few little parts that are a bit stupid and all around just ridiculous, but other than that, it is a good game nonetheless. Now, I absolutely love Rayman. Rayman M was the very first game I ever played, and that's what started my obsession with gaming. So, in all fairness, that kind of holds a special place in my heart. So I'm very happy with how Rayman 3 did turn out. I remember playing that when I was a kid, and I was absolutely obsessed with it. But there's still aspects of the game that I feel are annoying, some aspects that need to be improved, and some aspects which are just generally stupid in general. So, I'm going to be rating the game based on 3 core functions. Number 1, gameplay. Number 2, design. Number 3, story. That, and I'll give it an overall score out of 10. So, first of all, gameplay. The gameplay mechanic isn't actually that bad. On the PS2, it's very responsive, it's very good. You don't have to mash keys or anything so ridiculous as that. Most of the time you long press, and that's perfectly fine. I don't mind doing that at all. It's only when it gets to the point where you do have to mash a key for certain things, a button, that it does get a bit stupid, but other than that, it's not bad. I do enjoy the game as it is. The gameplay is very, very good. It's very tight. It's very nice. I like it. So, out of 10, with the gameplay, probably about an 8.5. Only because when it was ported onto the PS3, there are certain elements which are a bit buggy, it's a bit of a delay, and I know it's hard to port games over from one console to another and try and up the ante a bit, but other than that, it was really well done, just poorly executed for how it went. But nonetheless, still very good. So, design. Is the next one. Design is absolutely amazing. I love the design of Rayman 3. I do. I freaking love it. Only because it's so unique. It's amazing. If you when I was playing Rayman M, I love that game because of its design. Because it was just so abstract and so out there. It was amazing. And Rayman 3 carried that on, which is awesome, and I absolutely praise them for it. However, certain design elements kind of needed a bit more fine-tuning. For example, Goibox. He is a toad, yes, he still has to have a bit of a fine-tune to him, only because when he screams or when he opens his mouth, it just looks like it's one piece. It doesn't have any depth to it. Other aspects, like Rayman 3's design aspects with the enemies, the hoodlums, very, very simplistic. And don't get me wrong, the idea behind having, multiple parts put together and stitched up isn't actually that bad. However, I don't like the idea of their mouths being so closed, so to speak. But other than that, it's not bad. I do like the design. I like how it's stuck, like Ubisoft stuck to its roots, I should say, when it comes to that sort of design. So I'll give that a 9 out of 10. Now, story. The story is, it's linear, but it's all over the place at the same time, if that makes sense. The story itself isn't actually too bad, however, certain elements are missing, there are parts that don't make a whole lot of sense, and sometimes with the story, the transitions from one place to another are kind of thrown out of proportion a little bit. For example, like when you go from the start of the level to the fairy council, not from the fairy council to Clearleaf Forest, for example, you've got a teensy highway. That's cool, annoying, but cool. However, when you go from Clearleaf Forest to I can't remember which one it was afterwards, but there's no teensy highway. It's just literally teleport right there. And there's only 3 teensy highways, which suck because they're actually quite fun. I enjoy them personally, but at the same time, it kind of jumps from here and there. And there are certain elements that don't make a whole lot of sense. Like, for example, there's a boss fight. I can't remember what his name is, but there's a boss fight, and then I can't remember exactly, but it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense how it was executed, if that's anything to go by. But other than that, story, I'd say 8.8. 8 out of 10. Now, overall score.
Giggity giggity, giggity goo. Stick around.
Well, let's weigh up the pros and cons and go from there. So, first of all, the overall game itself is absolutely amazing. Like, I love Rayman, so I probably hold a bit of a biased opinion, but I love Rayman, and I think it's just absolutely phenomenal. I do enjoy it a lot, and Rayman 3 was a nice little addition. Now, I've been playing Rayman Classic on my phone. They actually ported the original Rayman onto Apple and Android, which I think is really, really cool, and a really nice idea, and a really good touch, and a nice way to kind of bring new people into the franchise, which again, I think is really, really cool. That being said, now, I actually have played Rayman 2. I've played Rayman 2 on the DS when it was rebranded. Now, I would have liked to have seen Rayman become more of a dominant figure, because he's kind of left in the shadows. You've got Crash, Spyro, Mario, Master Chief, and Sonic all in the limelight, whereas Rayman was kind of just this off character. And that was my phone going off. But Rayman was this off character that no one really understood. Now, some people question, like, why does he have no arms and legs? And I'll tell you why. It's because during development of the first Rayman game, the developers found it hard to render his limbs. So they cancelled it out, and that in turn made for better attacking ability. So you could punch enemies from a distance, or, he had a gag where he'd lose his hands or lose his feet, or he could detach his torso. Now, they were cool little gags, and then eventually Ubisoft made the story that he was in a sack of lums, and then that bag kind of dropped and he fell out and he was incomplete. But there's certain parts that I feel like could have been adapted more on. Like, for example, I think the Murphy character, the one who acts as your tutorial guidance system in the third game, he has his mouth, like, he has his teeth closed in the entire time, and that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, because in the opening cutscene he can actually open his mouth, and in the game he can only move his lips, and he's forever smiling, and it's kind of creepy, yes, but I don't exactly understand the whole reasoning behind it. Now, when it was ported onto PS3, and I've been playing it on the PS3 for quite some time now, but when it was ported to the PS3, certain charms of the game kind of were removed, and I understand it was for smoother gameplay, less delay, but in the PS2 version, and it might have just been my copy, but in the PS2 version, I remember there being a delay when it came to voice and visuals, like some of my videos have done in the past, like my own personal videos. But there was a delay, and I didn't mind that. I actually liked the delay, all things considered. But they kind of shut up, phone. They kind of almost fixed it in a way. So whenever there was a delay, they kind of like had a quick fade to black and then a quick fade back into the next scene. Next frame, I should say. But that kind of removed a bit of the elements for it. Like, there was I remember one part, just before you finish the tutorial, Globox is being thrown in the air by a bunch of teensies, and then it's shown him in the air, but in the PS3 version, he's only up there for like 2 seconds, and then he drops back down again. And it doesn't have that same effect. There's if you understand what I'm saying, certain elements of a game make things nicer, they make things smoother, and they make things more enjoyable. When those elements are removed in like a remaster or a port, it takes away that charm that it once had. And I know a lot of you out there felt the same way when it came to Crash Bandicoot. When that was made, certain elements were removed, and they had their own charm to the game, and that's why people stuck around for it. But in all honesty, like, if you're gonna do something, do it right. Try and keep to the grounds as much as possible. So, with that being said, overall score 9 out of 10. Some of it might be a bit biased because I do enjoy Rayman and I do love the character, and I think he should be put more forward. They only recently made, well, not recently, but they made Rayman Legends and Rayman Origins, which are almost the same thing. But even then, they still got overshadowed. But overall, 9 out of 10, and I'll tell you what, if they do another game with Rayman, then hey, I'll definitely be there to play it. So anyway, cheers everybody for watching. Be sure to check out Fable Gaming on Twitter and Facebook, and I will leave it up to Chris to say a few words. So bye for now, and I'll see you all in the next one.